afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Brandon Rice. I serve actually as a columnist with the Washington Times, and prior to that, I served as the Director of Education and Urban Affairs under New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. And I'm here to discuss advocacy with you. It's important to understand what advocacy is and what advocacy means. Advocacy is not just protesting, rallying, marching. Those are forms of advocacy, but that's not really what advocacy is. Advocacy is about really understanding the issues and then making those issues work for you. I'll talk more in depth of what I mean by that as the other panelists continue to give their names and information.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Luke Severe. Currently, I'm a lawyer with the New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation. It's a huge public hospital benefit corporation that services the citizens of the city of New York. 1 second. If I could ask the young brother against the wall, if you could just take a seat and put the phone down so we're all discussing together. You know, I don't want anyone left out of the discussion. What does advocacy mean? We'll get into that, but one of the things I want to impress upon all of you in here is to listen carefully as to what it is that we're saying. We all come from the same background. We all come from the same struggle, and so the advice that we give today is truly going to be beneficial, especially as you progress in your academic and career path.
Great. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
All right. My name is Archange Antoine. I am from New Jersey. I'm actually a school board member in Roselle, New Jersey. And also I work with an organization called Building One New Jersey. We're a statewide nonprofit organization that focuses on public policy issues. I'm an institutional organizer, meaning I work with unions, elected officials, clergy around certain issues. And so I think all day long, advocacy is on my mind and how to effectively get things done. So in this setting, my challenge is for you guys to start to look at this world a little differently. You know, you're normally taught how to look at this world from the spectrum of your mom, from your teacher, from what the media tells you to look at it. But really, in order to truly change your communities and really push an agenda effectively, you have to be able to look at it from an unorthodox position, meaning sometimes it's not as pretty as you think it is. Sometimes the world works against you. It works against who you are. It works against the things that you believe in. And in order for you to change it, you have to understand it, and then you can start slowly but surely implementing some of the things that you need to get done. So again, today I'm happy to be here today. My challenge for you guys is to start to look at this world a little differently so that you can get some good results out of it.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Marcus Hughes, and I am the youth advisor for the NAACP here in Washington, D.C., as well as I'm a workers advocate for United Food and Commercial Workers Local 400, where I advocate for workers' rights. So I'm kind of in both fields, teaching the youth how to be an advocate in their community to bring about effective change that's going to change the living conditions where they are, as well as molding not molding, but empowering workers who do not have the rights, don't have the respect, don't have the pay that they deserve, to be able to step up for themselves and go out for what they know they are owed. So that's who I am. So we can go on to the first question.
So each of these men have introduced themselves, and first basic question I'm sure that you're asking yourself is, what is advocacy? Already he began to elaborate on it, but now I'm going to ask them either individually or however you all would like to answer. Exactly what is it? What does advocacy look like on the ground?
I can speak to advocacy from the press standpoint. How many people read Facebook? Nobody reads Facebook? Everybody reads Facebook. How many people have Facebook? Tell my age. Have Facebook. Okay. So advocacy there's something called now the digital divide. And what advocacy is, from a press standpoint, is the ability to get those people online. So it's not when you're reading or when you're looking up Facebook or Twitter or Bing or any of these social media networks, that's information. And that's information that you guys have that's going to continue to go more digital and more digital as you get older. Right now, they're moving towards everything becoming mobile. And so when you talk about messaging, and when you talk about the issues centered around advocacy, it's important to know that advocacy of the 1960s and the 1980s is not the advocacy of 2013 and 2014, and it's steadily changing and steadily growing.
I'm going to ask another question as well. How many of you all volunteer, do volunteer work, or have volunteered? How many people go to church? How many people are involved in their church and do things? All right. So one of the things about advocacy and coming from more of the legal background where that is who we are advocates of the law, advocates of people. One thing that you realize is that advocacy is more so you being a voice for someone, or you being a vision for someone. And you may not realize it, but all of you in here are advocate for something to someone. Now, the key thing to remember is that with advocacy and being an advocate, there are positive messages that you're advocating for, and there are negative messages that you're advocating for. And it's up to you to make that determination. Why I ask that if you volunteer or if you go to church or you help out. Well, in the volunteer aspect, when you volunteer, you're giving up your time, you're giving up your service, you're giving up your talents to help someone else in need. That is advocating for that person. You're pretty much standing up for the person. You're being the voice for the person. Your actions are speaking for the person and assisting the person. And so you have to look at these little things that you do here and there, not as a chore, not as a task, but as you being a leader in your community, in your school, in your church, and what have you. Now, for the folks that ask how many go to church, as you know, you're a youth in church, you're being told to do X, Y, and Z from everybody. You're being told to help out here, help out there, help Ms. Johnson with her bag to the car and whatnot. But what you don't realize is these little tasks and chores are you actually being advocate for that person who can't do it. And what you'll see as you get older, and I know that we have a broad range of ages here from 9th to 12th grade. What you see is that your role will become more defined and a lot more burdensome as you go on, because a lot is expected of you. You are the new generation. You are the future of America. You're the future of this country. And so everything that you all are doing is being watched. You're impacting people's lives left and right. In my field, what I do with the hospitals, I advocate for the patients. I am on the human resources side. And so I do the policies and procedures that tell the staff how to behave, their code of conduct, how to do procedures, how to ensure that the patients are safe and that we're giving proper customer service. When one of my staff members fall out of line with that, I have to remember that I'm advocating for the patient when I have to enforce the policy and procedure. Many of you may have had loved ones in the hospital where a nurse was mean to you or rude to you, or they didn't treat your relatives with much care and respect, or somebody messed up. As an advocate, I have to step up on your behalf and say, you know what, let me address it on our end with our staff. Look at everything that you do around you, whether it be in school, in church, at home, and see where it is that you are an advocate. Whether it's walking down the street telling someone, good morning, have a good day, or if you're actually doing a volunteer task. And always keep your mind open to what it is that you're doing as being an advocate.
To truly understand advocacy, you have to understand sort of what comes before it, which is an emotional attachment. It's a feeling. And so my question to everybody in here is, are you guys upset about anything? Are you guys angry about anything?
I am.
Are you frustrated? How many of you guys heard about the hood? Everybody know what the hood is, right? Some people say I live in the hood. Some people heard of the projects, right? Right? Some people heard of the ghetto. So if you're honest with yourself, some of us can ID and say we actually lived it. Are these beautiful things?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you're growing up in it, you don't see it.
Okay.
Like,
So let me just ask this question. If you had an opportunity to live where you had a mansion, there was no gangs, there was no violence, where you could walk out the house at any time, 2 o'clock in the morning, not worry about getting robbed, not worry about anybody drunk, crackheads coming up to you, would you want that life?
Yeah, but it'd be.
no,
Hello?
I wouldn't.
But what the majority of people will say, I want to feel safe. It's not a slap to the face of where you live, it's just a fact in the reality of what exists in this world. We do have rich and we do have poor. And so my point is saying I was raised in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Elizabeth was the hood. It was down, my mom promised us that she would never move to the projects, but we lived from the door to here to the projects. I seen crackheads, I seen crack, cocaine, I seen drugs, you name it. My friend's family died. And as I got older, that wasn't a beautiful picture. That didn't sit right with me. I said, why do we have to live in these conditions? Why does anyone have to live in these conditions? And that was the beginning of advocacy for me. Because I joined an organization that said, where you have a whole lot of poor people, you're going to have problems. And instead of just brushing it by, let's deal with the issues that are creating the concentration of poverty. And with that, we came together to successfully change policies so that we don't have those concentration of poverty. So my question to you is, if you truly want to be a good advocate, you have to figure out what is pissing you off. And if the world is beautiful to you, and everything is fine, you're happy about your education, you're happy about your teachers, you're happy the way people speak to you, you're happy the way your neighborhoods look, you're happy the way the roads look, you're happy the way just everything is in this world, then guess what? You'll never be an advocate. Advocates are people who say, I want to change this. I don't want this to happen anymore. And you have to ask yourself, is there some things that you would like to see change? And from there, advocacy begins. And so that's what advocacy is. We all have the desire to see things change. And when we don't know how to effectively move forward, we then internalize it and we start to blame ourselves. We're not smart enough. I can't do good in school. I don't have enough money. My mom is stupid. My dad just this, and this, and that. And we blame ourselves, we blame our mom, we blame our dad, we blame this. But we don't really see the bigger picture, which perpetuates some of these things. So that's why I define advocacy. And I'm going to challenge you guys to not internalize some of your pains, your frustrations, your anger, but to learn how to project them in a very strategic way.
I have some questions myself. How many of you in the room use the metro system?
You said you had one person.
You use Metro.
How many of you in the room has complained about the train or the bus being dirty? Right?
The bus.
You've complained?
Maybe
So you can say that you were at that moment an advocate for clean transportation, right? How many of you eat school lunch?
Every day.
Not every day.
How many of you have complained about the nasty food at school?
Ooh, I know every day.
So for that moment, you were an advocate for good food in schools, right?
Yeah.
So already you're in the process of being an advocate, correct? I see nodding in that. Okay, so an advocate is a person that sees something that needs to be done and then does something about it as opposed to talking about it, right? So you've already acknowledged that you don't like the nasty food in the cafeteria, and you've already acknowledged that you don't like the dirty transportation system. So what an advocate do is they go and connect with people that are like-minded, and then they actually do something about it. Okay, so that is what an actual advocate is. is a person that's about doing something